see what. So excited for this regulate our nervous system extravaganza. I know a lot of you already have ideas and will share what it is that helps you regulate yourself, but even just figuring out what that means, regulate your nervous system, that sounds like a foreign concept. And John was helpful enough to pass that information along to me earlier this week. And I was like, you're right. What does that even mean? So, no fear, we're going to figure it out today. But before we do begin, we're actually going to start with a regulating activity. Who's ready? Me too. Okay, guys, you can guess. Anybody that knows me, you might guess. So we're going to start with breathing. Yay! Free breathing. Breathing is my go-to. And the beautiful thing about breathing is that you don't have to stop what you're doing. If you're in the middle of a meeting, you're in the middle of an argument, you're in the middle of traffic, you're in the middle of something that you can't just like go for a nature walk, then you get to breathe. So I don't know how many times a day I come to it, but this is what we're going to do. I'm going to encourage you to place a hand on your low belly and one on your heart space. And if you're comfortable closing your eyes, feel free. I'm going to guide us through some breathing, and then we'll talk a little bit about it, about the science behind it and why it's important. But just to start us off, my eyes are closed. And just notice how your breath is before I ask you to change it at all. Just what is it like right now? And the beautiful thing about stopping to observe our breath is that just by doing that, we automatically shift it. So you can imagine, I might ask you to breathe slower. I might ask you to breathe deeper. But just by pausing to pay attention, you already are doing it. And then on purpose, let's breathe a little deeper. Let that air fill your belly so that that lower hand moves. And then fill your chest. And then whenever you're exhaling, exhale the opposite way. Let it come out of the top of your lungs first. And then at the end, you might push a little air out by pulling your belly button in and squeezing the air out. Just gently, not a lot of effort. And I'm going to ask you to increase your breathing, increase the depth a little more with each breath, and slow your pace. And while we're doing this, relax your shoulders. On the next exhale, relax your face and your jaw. And the next exhale, just imagine your whole body relaxing one more degree. And then we're going to come back together. When you're ready to open your eyes, if they are closed, just gently opening your eyes. And it's nice to take a look around the room that you're in and just remember where you are. So I know how I'm feeling. I'm curious. What are we feeling? If you put a word in the chat, I would love that. I see Danielle made it. Calmer, then focused. relaxed. Love that. Grounded, less overwhelmed, relaxed, better. Yes, better. So even when you're in your car and you don't close your eyes or you don't have your hand on your belly, or maybe you're standing in line at the grocery store and you do that, and you put your hand on your belly and you pay attention to your breath, whatever the case is, just remember that's always available to you, just paying attention to your breath. And I want to share with you about the breath and why that is so valuable to your physical body and how it helps to regulate your nervous system, which we'll get into the definition more later. So stick with me. But there's a nerve that goes from the back of your head and it follows, it wanders. It's called the vagus nerve. You might have heard of it. And vagus stands for wandering. It wanders down and it follows your breathing pathway and it innervates your abdominal space. It winds around your organs down there. But its job is to turn your relaxation on. And so it's always watching your breath. It's connected to that. So if I'm feeling not relaxed and I'd like to feel relaxed, I can tell my body to relax by breathing slow. When I breathe slow, specifically diaphragmatic breathing, where it's not just at the top of my chest and I'm just breathing shallow or holding my breath, which I did that for years, I'm sure. But when we have a pushing down, so there's a muscle that separates your lungs from your abdominal space, and that diaphragm, when it pushes down, pushes your belly out, and that's when you feel that lower hand move. But that's where a bundle of nerves are, your solar plexus, and the vagus nerve goes through that. And so you really stimulate that point in your body when you're deep breathing. And when you stimulate that with a slow, deep rhythm, then your nervous system says, oh, we must be relaxed because we're breathing slow. And then you can start to release the chemistry of relaxation instead of the chemistry of stress, which is cortisol and adrenaline. Who likes that? I do too. Okay, great. So that's your first lesson. Check. And just now, I think everybody is here. Love the hearts. That's great. I'm just going to share a few of these intentions so we can be grounded in why it is we're here. So, to learn ways to calm myself when stress levels get high. Awesome. Looking to improve the connection between body, mind, and how to improve the wellness with mindfulness. Love that. Mindfulness. Excellent. A plus students here. And I just want to further my experience in meditation, controlling my stress levels. Fantastic. So I see a different range, lots of ranges, even with just those three entries. Something as simple as I just want to feel calmer when I'm stressed. Others have a meditation practice and I want to deepen it. So let's do this. Here we go. It's going to go deep now, guys. Are you ready? Buckle your seatbelts, but in the fun way. Okay, I'm going to share screen so that we can have some visuals. And that will be nice. There it is, the nice big green button. I was joking with one of us today. Hopefully she'll be able to join us, Jen. She's like, where is my confirmation email? Or she wasn't sure where that was. And we had lots of fun figuring that out. But hey, I just laugh at technology these days because I know it's here to be my teacher. It's my teacher in stress management because it's one of the number one things that will make my stress begin. Okay, good. Now that I talked through this whole thing, because it takes a while. So I'm curious if any of you felt any of these today. Just type like the number in the chat. Like I felt number 1 and 5, or I felt number 6 and number 7. I'm curious. Just today, what did you feel? Go. Oh, sorry. I clicked something there. How do we go back? There we go. There we are. Technology. I see 1 and 3, 4 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 4 and 2, 2, 4, 7, 2s, 1, 3, maybe a little 5. I dig it. So lots of 1s, overwhelmed, burnt out, hopeless, trapped. 2s, not good enough, not ready. 7, guilt, shame about having needs in the first place. Okay, so just looking through this list when I was preparing for this, I was definitely a number 1, number 2, Number three, now that I'm caretaking, parents, you guys have all my respect. Um, and certainly there's some six and seven, some guilt, like, oh, I should be doing this better, or I wish I didn't, need to take some breaths right now and could finish what it is that I'm doing. Okay, great. All right. So acknowledging that there's a lot of similarities between us and we feel this stuff every day. So hopefully we're feeling more motivated to continue this work. All right. So if we don't take care of ourselves, what's going to happen? And this happened to me. If any of you know some of my background, why I got into this work, felt zapped, drained, obliterated, tired, burnt out. And this is for anybody that doesn't know me, that's watching the replay of this. I used to teach in Detroit for 2 years and teach for America, and then 3 more years. And then I taught 10 years in another school district. So 15 years of teaching. But I felt like this Dangerous Minds, if you've ever seen the movie, she goes in totally unprepared. She's dealing with teenagers that are totally great at pushing all of her buttons, and she finds a way to relate to them and then to grow with them. So this is how I felt, but I had not equipped at all. And there's this one story of this CarMax situation. It was eighth grade class. In this, I was writing at the board, and this like perfectly aimed projectile like lands right on the top of my head, and it was CarMax. And I was like, wow, that is fantastic, right? Little old Jenny minding her own business, trying to teach some inner city school kids. And this happens. And I'm just like, this is the day, right? Like this is what I'm experiencing. And all day long, I'm putting on a nice face, trying to be like positive, but inside I'm a wreck and I do not know how to deal with it. So years of this goes on, and I eventually get this skin situation. I'm not allergic to things technically, but this was an autoimmune situation. So what happens when we don't deal with this stuff? Our body will tell us, and that looks pretty gross. So we're going to put that face over it. But that was like an epiphany for me. Like something is going on in my body and I don't know what it is. I need help. And it took me a decade to figure out that it was stress induced. I was eating right, I was exercising, I had all the boxes checked, I thought, and I seemed happy. But some practitioners would say, you're stressed, or do you have anxiety? And I'd be like, no, I'm like a happy person. I don't know what you're talking about. And I literally was so unaware. Then one day it hit me in school, and I was standing there and I was just feeling that overwhelmed feeling, that anxiousness. I had no clue that that's what it was. I was like, well, if this is anxiety, boom, I have this all day. And the light bulb went off. And so I just decided to not be stressed anymore. Well, that's very cute. I had no idea how to not be stressed anymore. So 3 more years went by and I was in a depression. I was depressed. If anybody's been there, you know what that's like. So then I had a mentor, and this is key for regulating our nervous system. A mentor, somebody that knows us, somebody that we trust. And she gave me permission to change jobs, to quit basically. And it was the best day of my life up to that point. And within a couple of weeks, I found health coaching. And I still had 6 months to teach. And so it was a beautiful transition. I could learn coaching, I could finish teaching and wrap up and feel complete. But little did you know that was a whole nother journey of stress inducing things that I would encounter. But the thing that I want to share with you is mentor. Number one, how do we relate to each other and how do we lean on each other? And it's our responsibility in a community. Like when you see somebody that you know changing their behavior, what do we do about it? Okay, so now we're going to get into the good stuff. This is what I want us to start to be aware of. It starts with self awareness. 10 years went by before I even knew that I had anxiety. So just checking in with yourself with a question like, how am I throughout the day? You might ask yourself this 10 times a day. How am I feeling? And then just see if there's any things that are red flags. Worry, anxiety, any disturbing thoughts that float through. You're like, huh, where did that come from? Irritability, if you're extra irritable, obviously sadness, depressed, feeling unworthy, but memory problems. You guys, I was losing the ability to remember from day to day, like what a student would say, or they'd say, you said I could do this. And I'd be like, did I really? Or even a friend would say, remember last week? And I'd be like, I don't. And I had a hard time recalling. So that is a definite red flag. And you can definitely reverse all these things. So don't feel like it's a bad thing. But at any rate, this is what we pay attention to, self-awareness first. And then this, something because I want us to really take care because mental health is the epidemic of this time. And so when we think about our loved ones, or we think about the tragedies that have happened that we had no idea that somebody was suffering until they take their life. That is what I want to like, just keep in the back of our acknowledgement. Like this matters. And also paying attention to our loved ones and being part of community matters. So when you see your loved one pulling away or stop doing usual activities, maybe you ask them what's going on. And for yourself, notice how you're feeling. If you have any of these situations, then we get to do something about it, because research shows 50% of us will demonstrate all characteristics for one mental illness or more throughout our lifetime. So 50% of us will qualify for a mental illness at some point in our life. So let's just take this seriously. Okay. So here's the thing that happened a few years ago that really kicked us over the edge, and now it's causing isolation and all of the negative effects of isolation. We were not meant to maintain this level of stress and hypervigilance for this length of time. So, okay, I'm going to, this makes me, this is what really turned the page for me. So when I read this last bullet point 60 years ago, then the average onset of depression was around 30, and now it's around 15. So as I was a teacher and I taught for 15 years, when I began teaching in '02, kids, anxiety was not in our vocabulary, and depression, we didn't really talk about it much. But when I quit 15 years later, students were missing school regularly for anxiety or depression. So this is no joke. And if you've ever felt like our friend here, then we have work to do. Okay. So I think before we move any further, I want you guys to imagine a time where you felt stressed beyond what you would say is a normal everyday stressor. So think about the last time you felt super stressed. And maybe you close your eyes and imagine it, but I want you to think about what it felt like in your body. You can call that up. Imagine what your heart was doing. How was your pulse or your heart rate? And what happened to your breathing? And how did you feel inside your skin? How were your palms? Did you get sweaty? Just imagining that scenario. Other things that are going on inside your body. Your digestion is stopping. Your immune system, ability to fight disease, is stopping. And all of that happens for a period of time. And in life, our ancestors experienced these moments of extreme stress. And the moments were acute, they were short, unless they happened to end in death and then it was over, right? But if they escaped danger, then it was a short lived experience. Today, think how often you are in that state. For me, it was most of my day. And so, what we want to do is we want to get to the place where I notice, I'm aware when I'm in that state, and I do these simple things to allow my heart rate to slow, allow my breath to regulate, to smooth out, to become normal and deep. And all of the chemicals that we can rely on, like serotonin and dopamine, those can be regularly used to regulate our mood. So that's what we're going for. And this right here, kids, how often do we feel some of these today? Let's take stock, because if you've worked with me, you know I love to start with what's going well. And we just went through all of the stuff to like set the stage for this is legit and this is important. But this is what we want to feel, you guys. Where did you feel resilience today? Did you feel some empathy? Were you flexible? Is there a point today where you were optimistic? I want you to think about any of these things, even your relationships. I see you guys here in pairs. I love that. At the end here, thinking about being able to take care of others. That's how we really know that we're regulated. So how do we know we're regulated? This is it. This is what we're going for. And I want you also to think of somebody in your life that does exhibit these things regularly. And it might be the person sitting next to you, or it might be a loved one, or it might be somebody that is famous or somebody that you look up to who's an icon. But those are our role models, and those people show us that it's possible. And you might be somebody that exhibits this stuff most of the time, and you are a role model to those around you. So just keep that in mind. You do some of these things every day too, and this is what we want to start to shift our focus on out of that experience and into what's possible, all of this stuff. Okay, so this is one of my favorite and most important quotes, I think, from Brene Brown. Um, there's just this was a shocker for me, and I think I might have even cried when I was reading some of Brene Brown's work. I was so happy to hear that the opposite of work is not um, the opposite of play is not work. The opposite of play is depression, because this is where I was at the end, right? I was working, but I was depressed. And I thought that I could get out of it myself, but I wasn't allowing myself to play. If I had the tools to make my work at school more fun, and I had like a coach to help me implement, because I did try to keep like this notebook of funny things students say. And there was some strategies that I tried to do to make it more fun, because I was like, I know this can be fun. So this is the mindset that we're going for, you guys. So as we do any of these things, or as you look at the big list of ways that you can regulate your body, I want you to think about this. Anytime throughout the day, if you're doing a task that makes you feel stressed, could this be fun? Or what would this be like if it were fun? Or if you think about life as a game, if this was a game, what would I do next? So keep this in mind. It is important that we take a lighthearted, playful attitude to any change that we want to make, including if it's starting a meditation practice. Okay, good. Thank you. That never gets old. All right. So, some things I'm going to share with you. At the end, you're going to get some resources. You'll get this replay. But I want to start by telling you, as you might already know, regulating yourself is unique to every single person. So it's our job to experiment and play. And those of you that we work together, you get it. You've got your own menu of stuff already, probably. But I want us to think about and take it to the next level. Like, how do I help my loved one make sure they get regulated? And maybe you have teenagers in the house, and maybe they regulate a different way that's not on this list, like listening to heavy metal or something that makes no sense to you. But regulating the nervous system is a state of being. And so each one of us has our own individual preferences and our own fingerprint for this type of situation. So here's a big list. We'll go through some of them, but um, know that you're going to figure out what works for you. And what worked for you as a teenager might not work for you as a young adult, might not work for you now. So you get to let this be a living document that flows. Okay, now we're going to do some more practice. Slowing down is the name of this game. Slowing down and having that playful attitude while we do it. So I appreciate the playfulness in this quote. We should sit in meditation for 20 minutes a day unless we're too busy, and then we should stay there for a whole hour. Who feels that way? Yes. And if I don't do it before I leave my bedroom, then chances are I'll be doing it before I go to bed, because it's not happening later on in the day. Okay. So the point of slowing down is creating that mental space so that you have the opportunity to respond to things instead of reacting. I'm going to say that again. We want to create mental and emotional space so that you have the opportunity and the gift of responding instead of reacting. Because in responding, you are in control. You can be connected to what's divinely right for you versus your critter brain, which is going to be on autopilot, reflexively reacting to whatever it is you're saying. Okay. And here we go. Meditation. We're going to do a practice now. I'm going to stop sharing, and then we're going to get into why this is valuable. So, thinking about the last time you were optimistic, or you felt resilient, or you helped somebody, I want you to call up some time recently, maybe it was today, where you felt that you were being flexible or exhibiting some of those beautiful skills of a thriving personality. So I'm going to close my eyes. I encourage you to do that if that's comfortable. Um, but that's how I begin. So going to take us through a meditation, and we are priming ourselves with that feeling of resilience or happiness or joy or possibility, that I can do this feeling. Just call up some experience like that. And when you have an experience like that in your mind and you're focusing on it, notice where in your body you feel it. You can put your hand on that place. Go ahead and do that. If not, your hands might just be resting in your lap. I want you to note the quality of the sensation. How does it feel? Put some labels on it. Does it feel relaxed? Does it feel quote unquote good? Does it feel warm and fuzzy? How does it feel in your body? Open, light? Just imagine that feeling spreading throughout your entire physical body from that location. We're going to use our breath to facilitate that. So, taking those slow, deeper breaths, imagine each inhale you're adding energy to spread that good feeling throughout your body. And every exhale, you're getting a little more relaxed. Every inhale, spreading that feeling until it might actually be spreading beyond your body. Imagine that feeling is starting to fill the room you're in. And every exhale, you're getting more relaxed. Every inhale, it's spreading that good feeling. Now it's filling your entire house. And let that feeling spread to your city. Imagine the feeling is radiating from you and filling your city. And let that feeling spread to the entire planet, imagining a connection between all the living beings and the whole planet, receiving this blessing from you. Every inhale is a blessing that you are sending out. And every exhale, you're more relaxed. Enjoy a few more breaths, starting to bring your awareness back to your body. sitting on the chair. When you're ready, you'll open your eyes and notice your room. And I would love to hear from you guys, even off of the chat, if we've got some people that would love to come off of mute and share what you're feeling. What was that like for you? I think Tina felt calm, not fearing anything anymore. I love that. Thank you, Tina. Stops repetitive thoughts, Anne Marie. Excellent. Felt calm, not fearing. I appreciate that piece. Yes, thank you, Jen. I appreciate that when I meditate, even if I'm guiding the meditation and I'm with more people than myself, I notice that it feels stronger. I'm wondering if anybody else notices that too. I see connected. That definitely makes that meditation feel stronger. Chillaxing, I love that, Scott. Yes. Calm, restorative. Yes. Guided meditation works great for me too, Kim. Felt the energy from everyone. Yes, feeling collective energy. So I want us to keep that in mind too as we share our meditation with anyone. Maybe we won't, but the sense of unity or connection with each other, that's the ultimate feeling that meditation can bring. It's that unity, it's unifying. And when yogis study meditation, that's the goal of yoga in general. It's to feel united, to feel whole. And when we feel whole, we feel connected to everybody. Fear goes away. That's exactly what happens. So, just appreciating that we're here together sharing that. And I have gratitude that we just magnified our own energy together. Okay. So now we're going to go back to learning a touch more. Let's see what else we've got. Thinking about meditation, there's some reasons why we like to meditate, and I'll share my screen just for visual effects because that's nice. I don't know about you, but in order for me to do a meditation practice, I really had to understand what it was doing for me because I would start it and then I would stop it. I'd be like, I don't have time to sit still. That's stupid. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, I know everybody says it's good for you, but yeah, and I would just quit. So recognizing that as we age, our brain shrinks. And so people that meditate, when they study people that have meditated for years, their brains are like that of a 20-year-old. So thinking about that in general, if that's all somebody told me, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. It's probably enough to get me to meditate. But that's huge. So it increases the volume of your brain or helps you from decreasing the volume. Thicker hippocampus. This is huge, you guys. So we have this center of our brain, which is the emotional center. And when it's hyper alert and fearful and stressed and anxious, that is the amygdala. That's the amygdala working. And so when we meditate, that area decreases in activity and the hippocampus increases. And the hippocampus is learning, it's creativity, and that's the structure that might be correlated to our connection with a higher intelligence. So that's evidence. Like I just love the science of all this. And then when some people mention the thoughts in my mind are lessening or I'm not thinking about the same thoughts over and over again, that's your default mode network. That's the monkey mind at work. And when that decreases, you have more ability to focus and you have more energy to do creative things instead of just perseverate on some loop that's going on in your head on autopilot, sucking up your energy. So that's why we meditate. Who's ready to meditate now? More? Yes? Just me? Okay. You guys are awesome. Thanks. Thanks for joining in with me. The other research shows all of this stuff, right? We know about anxiety, stress. I really want to bring your attention to controlling pain, which is something that we don't think about. Some of us have chronic pain, and it helps control chronic pain. The experience of pain is different. So while the physical body might not have shifted a lot, our perception of the pain changes. And one of my favorites is that it can increase and generate kindness. And of course, physical things like blood pressure, heart rate, and inflammation are decreased. Awesome. It's important. All right. So, why are we meditating and what's the important thing? I'm not going to go over this whole list, but I want you to get a few pieces of information. The beta brainwave, which I'm going to show you a diagram, this is where we spend most of our waking time. And if we're in the high range beta, which is over here to the right, this is when you're in a highly aroused state. Your body's producing those stress chemicals and you're in emergency mode. You're in a heightened state of brain activity. Your attention is on your environment, in your body and time. This is not the time to learn or create. This is where I was spending most of my time as a teacher, and maybe some of you can relate. We love to spend when we need to be logically thinking, we'd love to be in the more low beta range. In that low beta range where we're feeling relaxed, reflective, we're concentrating, we have some conscious and rational thinking going on. That's close to the next step, which is alpha. And if you've heard me talk about meditation before, then this is a good reminder. So beta brainwaves look like this top row, alpha looks like this row, theta is here. These two rows right here are what meditation can generate for us. In the alpha state, we are more focused on the inner world, but from the inner world is where you feel connected to everything else. Your imagination is queued up. You have access to more creativity than you can imagine. And it's at those times, and you've had those times, think of the last time where you had this like out of the box creative idea that just dropped into your head and you're like, oh, that's interesting. That really excites me. I think I want to do that. That's the state we want to be in, you guys. We want to be in this state most of the day. And then theta is like a treat. Theta is lucid dreaming. And in this state, you can reprogram some of those unconscious limiting beliefs. And this is where hypnosis occurs. And you can do this with yourself as well. That's a super powerful state. Um, so there you go. And then, of course, we've got delta. Gamma is actually special. This is what occurs when you have a transcendental experience. And if you are meditating, and there's guided meditations that can help do it, but it takes practice. You can move from the theta state into this gamma state. And in that transcendental state, that's when things are healing simultaneously, like a tumor just disappears. You've heard of those stories before. It's because they were in the gamma state and their nervous system was able to rewire in an instant instead of taking a long time like matter generally does. All right, magical. Yes, magical. Okay, here's a fantastic explanation of what the alpha state is like. It is characterized by clear headed, present, and fully in the moment. Alpha waves create a sense of peace and well being in your mind and body. When people are in this state, they seem to exude charisma as their mind focuses only on the here and now. This is also the state when athletes and other performers are at their best. It's known as the zone or the flow state. And unsurprisingly, the alpha brainwaves have been shown to boost creativity and resilience to stress and reduce anxiety and depression. When your mind is free, peak performance and enjoyment is naturally achieved. Peak performance and enjoyment is naturally achieved. This is where you're playing, you guys. When you're doing something you love, and to you, play is something different than what play is for me. So that's what we want. We want to be in the alpha state, which is related to play, which is what Brene is telling us is the opposite of depression. Okay, great. And let's do another meditation. Are you ready? I thought you were. We're trying to sprinkle in a little bit of the learning in with this meditation. So, mindfulness meditation is going to be one surefire way, and you can do this without going anywhere too. So I'm going to take us through what a mindfulness meditation is characterized by. And this is another thing like breathing that you can do wherever you are. You don't have to close your eyes to do it. But for this, I'm going to close my eyes because that's how I like to guide them. Feel free to close your eyes. But this is mindfulness meditation. It's going to be a little bit different than the one we did before. So I'm going to settle into my chair, closing my eyes. I'm having my hands flat on my lap, palms down. I feel more connected to myself and grounded. When we start to bring our attention to the breath, that is a wonderful way to begin any mindfulness practice. Notice when you inhale, notice when you exhale, and actually say the word in your mind. When you inhale, say the word inhale in your mind. When you exhale, say exhale in your mind. And bringing your attention to the sensations in your body. Feel the clothes against your skin. Feel your hands on your lap. Feel the temperature of the air in the room. Feel your feet. And bring attention to the sounds in your room. The sound of my voice. And then look for any other ambient noises that you can hear. And notice if there's any scent that you can smell or any taste in your mouth. Just notice. And if your eyes are closed, what do you see behind your eyelids? What is it like? Your eyes are open. What do you see in your room? Your eyes are closed. Maybe there's colors. Maybe it's just a dark. Maybe there's spots of light. What do you notice behind your eyelids if they're closed? I'm going to bring our attention to our breath. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Whenever a thought comes through your mind, besides inhaling, exhaling, just notice the thought. You might even label it thought and let it go by. Come back to inhaling and exhaling. Whenever you notice yourself thinking about something else, just coming right back to your breath without judgment, without curiosity, just noticing. I'm thinking, And come right back to your breath. Whenever you feel a sensation in your body, like an itch or a tickle, just label it itch or tickle. And come back to your breath. Wherever you are, just noticing your breath. When you're ready, opening your eyes, noticing your room. What did you notice about that style of meditation? I'm curious if you can in the chat or if you'd like to be verbal. No takers yet, but I am confident someone will someday here. Oh, Danielle, we will talk about that. What did you notice about that style of meditation? Mindfulness. Sleepy. Awesome. More in a flow state, like I'm on a wave in the ocean. Love that description, Tina. Progressively relaxed, then reflective while still calm. That's great, Scott. There's more here. I want to go full gamma. Yes, absolutely. More present and focused, calming. Feeling in your body helps to think about the present. Love that, Kim. Almost fell out of my chair. Great job. Awesome. You guys, that's it. So, this style of mindfulness, Kim mentioned she felt more present. Um, that is the point of mindfulness. And if you hear the word mindful thrown around, it really is that simple. It is using your senses to come back to the present moment. And we use our body as the tool. I can feel things, I can smell things, I can hear things, I can see things. So when I'm frazzled or I'm got a deadline or I'm distracted, I can just pause and look out my window and see there's a tree, there's a bird, I hear the birds. What do the birds sound like? Or I can go to my body and close my eyes. So sometimes the stimulation needs to stop with our visual senses and we feel, how does my skin feel? Am I cold? Am I warm? Those simple things, that's mindfulness. And you can do it in the car, you can do it anywhere. It's one of those techniques that you don't have to stop what you're doing in order to feel present. You might be in a meeting and notice that you're thinking about something else other than what the speaker is saying, or that you're talking to somebody face to face. And you're like, okay, let me come back to the present moment. What are they saying? Listen to what they're saying. How do I feel in my jeans? What do my shoes feel like? Come back to the present moment. So that's mindfulness. And some people track their mindfulness, and this is a great idea. Maybe you want to try it. They want to get 30 minutes of mindfulness in a day. So they start with 10 minutes in the morning, and then they might do 3 minutes while they're sitting in their car before they get out to go to work. Then they might do 3 minutes before they eat their food. They're present eating their food. Then they might do another 5 minutes in the afternoon when they're spent. And then they might do 10 minutes before bed. So you can do mindfulness throughout the day. It's wonderful. It's cumulative. You don't have to do 30 minutes all at once. And you might just start with, I want to do 5 minutes of mindfulness today. So, yes, tracking mindfulness. It is one of those things that releases dopamine. So, it's double whammy. Not only are you getting to feel calm because you're doing mindfulness, but you get to check a box because it feels good to check boxes. At least it does for me. Okay, fantastic. We have a little bit of time left, and I'm curious. I would love to we'll do one more practice before we end. But before we do, I would love it if you came off of speaker and maybe shared any, if you've had any experiences with these before, if you have any questions. This could be like a question answer time and sharing time, because I feel like I'm listening to my voice a lot and I want to hear yours. So who's first? Nobody's off of mute.
I'll come off mute, Jenny. I'm not on camera because I'm driving, but I just want to say that everything about this I have always loved and appreciated, and I find it difficult in the moment to find the space to do it. And so I'm wondering if anyone has experience of how to actually like make this work in the midst of the chaos. Do you go, I have to go to the bathroom, and you just go sit in the bathroom for a minute and like breathe? Because sometimes it feels like you have to remove yourself from a situation in order to get grounded and have that moment of mindfulness. So I'm committed to creating more of this, and I find it difficult.
I love that. Has anybody found ways to sneak it into their day, and what do you do?
Jenny, I had success putting it into, as you know, putting it into a routine. So it didn't occur at random times during the day. I did it as part of my morning sort of getting ready ritual.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the idea of this mindfulness tracker. I feel like that could show up in a Mrs. B planner somewhere.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like the analyzer in me needs like to have it like, hey, stop, do this before you start your day. Hey, stop, do this at lunch. I feel like that's the only way it's gonna happen.
I love that. And there's, I would love to hear from Anne Marie after this little input. There's something called segment intending that I was taught by a teacher at some point. Segment intending, like before I start any segment, before I get into my car, before I start a conversation, before I eat my breakfast, before I brush my teeth, before I go into a meeting, before I do some work, before I read, any segment that you're going to shift, and the segment will change. Like somebody walks in the room, new segment. You can have an intention for every segment of your day. And any of those points of transition are an opportunity to be mindful. And when we talked earlier about like creating a gap so that you have spaciousness to respond instead of react, that's like what this could look like. So your mindfulness could be 30 seconds before I make a phone call. It could be 30 seconds before I turn on my car so that I intend to drive focus. I intend to enjoy my drive. I intend to not drive unconsciously. And I intend to look at the birds and the nature and see the beauty. That I think was a shift or a game changer for me. And that I realized that it's a way of living. So I love that you love tracking mindfulness because that's how it could start. But then eventually it becomes who you are. It's your way of being. Like I can be, and I've not mastered this, so I'm not like speaking as a master here, but as a student, I can be, before I go down to interact with my dad or my brother, I can have an intention of how I'd like to be, regardless of what I meet, right? So I think that that is a lovely way to think. And now, Anne Marie, I would love to hear what you would like to share.
Oh, I had a question. You were talking about times when you got stuck in your meditation practice,
Oh, yes.
when so much of the thinking that was coming in is, this is wasting time. I've got other things I should be doing. And that's why I like the quote so much about, if you're busy, you should meditate even longer. When you got stuck, what helped you to get unstuck and stick with the practice and turn it around?
I love that you asked that question. So I was eventually taught that the point of meditation is the redirect. It's not to quiet the mind and shut the mind off, because it's kind of impossible, because the brain's job is to generate thoughts. But the power of meditation comes when I notice I'm thinking and then I go back to my breath. So it's like when I have that feeling like I should be doing something else, I say to myself, well, I notice I have a should. I'm going to go back to my breath. Oh shoot, I forgot the laundry. I notice I forgot the laundry. I go back to my breath. And so that was really beautiful for me, because I thought I was doing it wrong, right? And we have this like, I can't do it. I'm doing it wrong. This is a waste of my time. But actually, every time you redirect is valuable, and you're training your brain that it matters what I decide to focus on. And so that is like one of the, like when they do brain scans of people that when they're meditating, their ability to focus, that default mode network, which is like the monkey mind is always like lighting up. It gets calm and dim. And that's what we're going for. It's the ability to see that I'm like over here, but then redirect over here. See that I'm over here and then redirect over here and then just keep redirecting. So that's, I don't know if that's helpful for you, Kelly, but that's how I did it. And yes,
Do you,
every
I just
time
had a,
you win, it's a win every time you go back to your breath.
that's so helpful. I just wanted to ask, do you ever feel like you're redirecting the whole time
Yes.
sometimes?
Absolutely. Yes. And then when the buzzer goes off, I can be like, whoa, that was full of wins because I had to redirect 100 times. Or even if I just catch it at the end, like I was down some rabbit hole and I didn't redirect and then I had 30 seconds left of my meditation, it's still a huge win. Like, oh my gosh, I noticed that I am not thinking about my breath and I come back. And there's tons of different meditations, which is why I'm so thankful to share this with you guys, because I think about starting a community where we meet twice a month and I share lots of different meditations and you get to ask me questions like this, but we always do a practice and it could be 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So I'm curious if anybody's interested in that. I would love to do that. But we could explore this together because when we meditate together, like I mentioned earlier, it just magnifies my own experience. And then we get to explore mindfulness meditation, transcendental meditation, mantra meditation, mudra meditation, tea meditation, walking meditation, nature. There's so many different ways that you can get into that alpha state, and we could do it together and you can find what way works for you because mindfulness might not work for you. That might not be, you might like the guided meditation straight up. I love like the imaginary ones where I'm like going to my happy place and spending time like on the shore of the ocean. So heck yes, I see. Yes, absolutely. That's great. So I'm going to share in an email at the end here our resources, your replay, and then maybe a link or something for you to click on if you want to be a part of that. And then we'll figure out together like what time would work and how that would look. I'm thinking of an investment, skin in the game, but also so it feels valuable to me as your coach. Like $22 a month is what I feel like, but I'm open to that too. And that would be 2 times we meet a month. And if nobody's up for that, then this isn't the right time. That's totally fine. But that's something that I'm thinking, but I'm not going to go ahead and try to get people to do it. If people want to do it, then I'm all in because I've been itching to do this. Okay, good. I see some excited people here, but that's wonderful. Okay, so we're going to end. It is 7, so if you have to pop off, I totally understand. But I'm going to do a few more minutes of meditation if anybody wants to stay on. This will be one of those imaginary meditations that I enjoy. Okay, so for anybody still here, I'm going to start by closing my eyes as I do. And wherever you are, settling into that seat, feel supported, feel the pressure against your back. We're going to start with imagining relaxation, a nice warm golden light shining in the crown of your head. And that relaxation is just melting into you like warm honey. It's relaxing those skull muscles, your brow is relaxing, the jaw and your tongue relaxes. Even the eyes in your sockets, surrounded by this warm golden light, relaxing all the little muscles around your eyes. And let that relaxation seep into your neck, your shoulders. Let it flow down your arms into your abdominal space. This is where your breath is. Let that golden light, that warm light, mix with the movement of your breath. And let it run down your legs and find its way into your feet. Your feet relax against the floor or underneath you if you're cross-legged. And just enjoying the relaxation of this warmth just flowing through you gently melting its way through you. Every breath spreading that relaxation into each cell of your body. And then bringing that awareness, that golden light, directing it into your heart space, specifically lighting up your heart as a relaxing golden light filling your heart space. And imagine you're going to submerge your favorite feeling in that golden light of your heart space. That could be a feeling of joy, peace, love, calm. What feeling do you want in your heart space? Imagine it there, just soaking in that warm, comfortable, relaxing golden light. And let every inhale magnify that feeling. Breathe right into your heart space. Fill that space with energy from your breath. Each exhale is just letting go anything that is not that feeling. Each breath, a new opportunity. Energize that feeling in your heart space. Every exhale is an opportunity to let something go. Breathe into the feeling, the goodness, the sweetness. Breathing right into your heart space, magnifying that emotion. Enjoying a few more breaths. Send that emotion to all of those cells. They are waiting for permission. Give each of your cells permission to feel that good. And with this feeling, this heightened feeling of goodness, create an intention for the rest of your evening. What do you want to experience tonight? And then letting your awareness come back to the chair you're sitting on. Feel the pressure of your body against the chair. Notice your breathing and opening your eyes whenever it's comfortable. I would love to hear anything else that's coming up for you before I release you back into your night. Anybody want to share? I see you, Tom. Oh, thank you, Tina. I see those hearts. I love them. Well, I see those hearts. Thank you, Danielle. I'm feeling full and satisfied. I hope you guys are going to enjoy the rest of your night and we will stay connected. I'm so glad, Jen. Thank you. Bye, Kim. So glad to see you in the flesh. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. What a joy. Bye, John. I see the other John, too. Hi, John. All right, guys. I'm going to close her down.